Hey world, it's Michael Gascon, the horse guru, and I'm here with you today with little Tito. Tito is a 3-year-old Paso Fino colt, and we are working on his first long lining session. So you notice we have on him just a regular wash halter. That's not important, and a full cheek snaffle. It's referred to as a full cheek snaffle because it has the bars to ensure that it doesn't slide through his mouth in or out. So we have a full cheek snaffle on. That's the only thing we have. And these long lines are made of biothane. I prefer the biothane because you can get them in dirt or poop or pee or mud or anything and they just wash right off, no problem. They last forever. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the stirrups. So we have a left one and a right one. Hooks to each side of his snaffle, and they're going through his stirrups here. And this is his first time with the long lines on. We're gonna go over his butt here. Notice how I let the long lines drag. See how he just wants to walk off there? We're just gonna send him forward here, and really what we're trying to do is teach him left and right with this snaffle here, and just make him understand how to give to this pressure. He spent most of his days so far in the colt starting process with a natural horsemanship halter on. So now we're just showing him how to get used to that snaffle. So whenever we go to turn, you notice how I have the outside rein around his hocks. So if he was to get excited, we just pull him back into the wall and give him a roll back. This is really good if you have a hot explosive horse that you really don't want to ride yet, that you need to get left and right working on. It also works really good. A young colt like this, that's a little stiff and resistant, that you want to get him soft and easy and not have any arguments with. Here, the thing about long lining is it makes it real easy for you to not be in the conversation. The horse can just figure it out himself. If this horse was to really blow up or get hot because the reins are touching his back, we could either one, let the line slide through our hands. The faster he goes, the more to the center of the round pen I'm going. So he's taking way more steps than what I'm taking, and that is the benefit of this. The other thing, if we're gonna try to tell him not to do whatever he's doing, you do that with the outside rein, pulling him right into the wall and changing directions. So sometimes you'll put this around and they'll decide that they're gonna wanna run off. Well, you can teach him this early. No, you can't run off. There's a wall. Walk. Well, you say walk, and every time that he speeds up without you, roll him back. Walk. Good boy. So this is a nice way for you not to be in jeopardy, you not to be in harm's way, and really get left and right. Now, you know our motto is control the head, control the horse. We really believe that. We really mean that. From the very first encounter with the horse, when you first put a halter on a horse, the horse doesn't know how to lead. Well, you get a halter on by whatever means necessary, and then the horse runs off because he doesn't know how to lead. Well, you hold on that lead rope as hard as you possibly can, and what happens? He pulls on it until he faces up. What that really means is you pulled so hard that it disengaged his hindquarter, it moved his butt away from him. You only do that 2 or 3 times, and very quickly the horse doesn't think that he can get away with you. Look at this guy already. He's really starting to look a lot quieter, and that's what we're trying to find. Now, there's a difference between long lining and ground driving. Long lining is on long lines like this, where you see we're at a distance. He's taking way more steps than I am, covering a lot more ground than I am. Ground driving is when we go step for step with him. So if I was to get behind him here, and do you see how he wants to speed up? Now this is ground driving. When you go step for step with your horse, you're ground driving your horse. Whenever you are long lining them, you're standing in the center. I like to go back and forth from both. So here, even though he hasn't spent time with a bit in his mouth, he can already get the feel of me holding on him or him driving into my hands from the ground. The reason we want to go through, I prefer a saddle and stirrups as opposed to a stir single, is if he was to really go bonkers here, going through those stirrups is going to allow me to catch that outside line. So he's going to the right here, so that'd be the left line. it would allow it to stay around his butt where I can get him going forward. If you use a stir single and the rings are high on their back, a lot of times that outside rein will go over their butt and they get faced up towards you. You don't want that horse facing up towards you. All right, so he's a little spooky, a little sketchy. Notice that we're gonna start making this circle smaller and smaller and getting in closer and closer behind him. And he's not gonna be too comfortable with us getting closer. He's gonna be a little uncomfortable with us being back here. Well, just like lunging or just like anything else, we'll just turn him every time that he has an issue with that. You might be thinking to yourself, aren't you worried about getting kicked? It's very difficult for that horse to kick at you while their head is pointing your way. So as long as I don't have to pull him around all the time, but as long as I'm aware and ready to pull his face my direction, it would be very difficult for him to bring his butt my way. Now we have a nice left-handed circle. We'll take him to the wall, change directions. The other thing, if you haven't ridden your horse yet, long lining is a great idea. I know in the Respect series we move kind of quickly, especially for colt starting. If you're not comfortable riding your horse yet, that is okay. I tell a lot of my students that aren't as sticky as I am, hey, just long line that horse and get that horse comfortable with you being close, with you being behind them, with you switching from one eye to the other. There we go. I notice he liked to have a little bit more bend to that left side than he does this right side, and that's okay. The awesome thing about drawing his face towards me here is he can't take his butt away from me. What I mean by that is, even though I'm pulling him to the right, I still have my hands on that left rein, so he can't just flip around and look at me if he wanted to. This is really awesome if you're working with an aggressive horse that always wants to attack you with bites or strikes. I have fixed many of cuckoo horses that wanted to kill you or eat your face with long lines. Very nice. Now we're just going to drive him straight here. Now notice how comfortable he's getting with me right behind him. That's what I like to see. Now one of the things I want to see whenever you're doing this is I'll go from one eye to the other. So he'll have a blind spot in there. There we go. Did you see him get uncomfortable when he found me again with this other eye? Well, guess what? You're going to sit in the blind spot on top of his back. So the more times that he can see you out of one eye and then see you in the other eye, the less uncomfortable he's going to be whenever you're on his back. And again, we worked our way to this point, and he started letting us be closer and closer, and he didn't look like he was going to throw a kick towards us. He looked like he was comfortable enough. Good boy. Now, from the moment this session started, all he wanted to do was go forward, go forward. But now we have him so engaged with all the different things that we're doing and ways that we're bending him and switching from one eye to the other eye. So what I mean here is I can see his outside eye here. And then I walk to the inside and I see his inside eye here. And that's what we're looking for. Look how he's really just relaxing. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bend him in a little bit. There we go, touch him on the butt. And you might think that this is crazy because this is what I thought the first time I saw this. But when I was at the School of Equestrian Art in Spain, they would have all the horses where they can drive them from here. And they could walk, trot, or canter the horse with their hands on the horse's butt. And their theory was, if they can't be right behind the horse, right on the horse's butt, and drive them forward and tell them what to do, why in the world would they get on the horse's back? And they definitely makes sense. If your horse is too uncomfortable for you to be here, why would you want to be on the horse's back? Again, shift into that other side here. So this is a really good first session for this horse. I really like where his mind's at. Again, this horse has been through the Respect series. He already takes a halter, a natural horsemanship halter, and goes on trail rides. Now we're just trying to get him more advanced. We're trying to get him more comfortable with the snaffle, and he's a little skittish booger. Like he can go through obstacles, but he's still a little standoffish towards people. So We're just trying to humble him up, quiet him up a little bit. The next thing is we'll have him driving on a cart. But before you should think about driving a cart, you want to make sure that your horse long lines. And ho. Good boy. Ho. Good boy. So whenever you're ground driving like this, you tell that horse to ho, and it doesn't matter where they dance or where they go, you keep your feet in one place. So he can go wherever he wants to, but if he's gonna find a release, he's gonna be standing right there because everywhere else he goes, so if he tries to walk that way, I'm not moving. Ho means ho, and he'll figure that out quickly. Good boy. And that's how you get your first long lining session in. Wait 1 second here, we'll get him. We'll send him off again. Before we cut this video short, we'll make sure that he's standing still. Ho. Good boy. The other thing, if he tries to lip the dirt here, if he tries to put his nose in the sand, we're gonna give him that freedom to do so. We would love for him to drop his head, lick that dirt. So if he tries to drop his head, don't snatch on him, don't pull on him. We want him to be head down, be relaxed. We want him to be uncomfortable. We want to get through that discomfort of him being uncomfortable with us behind him because we're going to spend the majority of his career on his back. That's it. Walk. If your horse can't stand still doing this, you are not ready for the next step of putting them with blinders or getting them ready for the cart. They have to be able to long line. They have to be able to give the pressure left and right, and they have to be able to stop and stand. Ho. Good boy. Notice whenever I approach him to touch him, I don't give a big belly like this because I don't want him to jump forward and snatch on me. So I have just a little contact. Good boy. He's coming from North Carolina and it's hot out, so this guy is shedding like crazy. Walk. And I'm already starting to give him the verbal cues that I'm going to give him whenever I put him with blinders. Oh, good boy. Again, the most awesome thing about ground driving is you're in control of your feet. Whenever you try to stop a horse and you're in the saddle, they can still take you. When you're on the ground, plant your feet. Don't go anywhere. He can dance this way or dance that way or shoot backwards behind you, but if you just plant your feet, he's going to find, oh, there's like an anchor, and if I just stand still, that's where my release is. And that's what we want him thinking. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video.